What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Legendary Talks here. How's everyone feeling tonight? I am wearing my cute little outfit that I'm into. We have a great guest tonight, kind of a New York staple, really interesting, good friend of mine called Kellan. I'm sure, will have some great legendary stories. How's everybody feeling tonight? What should our drinking word be? I'm going to take 3 options from you guys, and I'll let the guest, legendary Kellan, choose. Drinking word options, please, y'all. How's my outfit tonight? I was feeling it. I wore it on Ro James' birthday. It's Ro James' birthday today, so shout out to him. Hey, what's up, Mary? How you guys feeling? Chandra, what's our drinking word? Come on, guys, let's do it. Kellan can choose. You pick options, and we'll give Kellan the final choice. Hey, Megan. Hey, Sydney. What's up, y'all? Hey, Sarah. What's up? So fab. Thank you. What should our drinking word be, Sarah? I think it should be Irish, but what's up, guys? What's up, Chandra? So anyway, yes. How's everyone feeling today? We have a really interesting, cool guy, Kellan, an old friend of mine. We have many, many fun things to talk about. He has never done an IG Live, so I don't know if he's even on here yet. Oh, Judith decided to join us tonight. Good, Jude. What shall we choose as our drinking word for me and Kellan? Ginger, that's a good one. Laugh or laughing. Okay. The word laughing or actually laughing? Pastis, does that say? That's a good one. Anyway, taking drinking word options and comments on my outfit. Sydney said she would, stylist, that's a good one. Sydney said the word. Sydney said she would have never met me if it wasn't for Kellan. I guess that's true, Sydney. I never thought about that. Thank goodness for Kellan. Stylist. Yes, Chandra. Well, okay. We'll throw that in the mix. Let me see if I don't even think he's on here yet. He doesn't know how to do this, I don't think. Let me request him anyway. So anyway, how's everyone feeling today? It's getting a little chilly here, and I like it. We all are locking down. Our country is locking down this weekend. So back to 10 p.m. in the house, and is what it is. Yes, it was good for something. Hey, Natasha, what's up? What's up, y'all? Thank you for joining. You're half drunk already. Great. What are you drinking? What's everybody drinking tonight? I'm drinking Belvedere. I might switch to tequila, though. Yes, how's everyone feeling, and what's everybody drinking? Fall fashion is here. Yes, I agree. Fur, all of the above. Thank you. I look fabulous. Thank you. I think he's being, hey, Naomi. If I have any voice issues as well, like technical voice issues, let me know, guys. Like, it's been sometimes choppy. Yes, tequila. Says Kellan is unable to join. I think he's either being fashionably late or he doesn't know how to do this yet. So we'll wait. Hey, Red, what's up? Waiting for Kellan, the legendary Kellan. What's up, Russ? How are you? How are you feeling? What are you drinking tonight? Yeah. Good one, Sydney. She was confused on, there, the diva has arrived. Sydney was confused on the day. She thought it was last night, and it's today. Make people wait, you know. I'm going to request Kellan now, and he has never done this, so we'll get that biatch on here one way or another. What's up, biatch?
Damon.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thanks.
You got my girl in the background.
Who is it? I can't see.
And,
Who? Oh, good. So this is your first IG Live?
no, with you, yes.
Got it. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, Brendel. So what should our drinking word be?
Belvedere and black cherry soda.
No, what should our drinking word be?
Oh, candle.
Okay, good one. Candle, there you go. Good one. So Cannon, I think you've seen a few of these. It's my 109th episode, and basically I celebrate people that have been, very important to culture, primarily in New York for the past 2 to 3 decades. So I thought you'd be a celebrate. So we're here to celebrate you today for all your hard work and all that you've contributed to culture for many years. So I want you to describe yourself to me as if I don't know who you are. Tell me who you are.
Well, I'm a fashion and celebrity stylist in New York. I started styling really super young. I spent a good part of my 20s on a plane back and forth to LA. I've pretty much worked with every music great that I've wanted to work with, and you were there along some of the crazy rides. Yeah, it's been good. It's been just a crazy, fun, interesting ride this whole entire time.
Great.
And now during COVID.
Where are you from? Queens? Where are you from originally?
Yeah, I'm from Queens. I went to high school on 16th Street, and then I went to school in New York and London.
Got it. That explains a lot. So what's the first song you ever remember really connecting with as like a very young kid?
Probably the Smiths, How Soon Is Now.
Got it. And then what music video kind of rocked your world back then?
David Bowie, Modern Love.
Good one. That's a scandal. Cheers. And then if a movie either described, if a movie described you, or what was a movie that kind of defined you, again, when you were really young, like under 12, you mean?
Pretty in Pink, Some Kind of Wonderful.
First of all, weren't you in those movies? Weren't you the actor in like, I think good ones. Okay, and then what's the first concert you went to?
Howard Jones, and I snuck out in 8th grade and went to go see him at the Beacon, and he was not cool at all. We had like the movie poster. We followed him. He had a restaurant down in Greenwich Village on 8th Street. We were the first ones there outside the restaurant, and his bodyguard shooed us away. And then we yelled at him, my friend Mary and I yelled at him, and we ripped up the poster in front of him. And we were like, "Suck it, Howard."
First of all, he was right. Annoying 8th graders. Like, get away from me, you dorks. And what's the first fashion magazine that you remember?
Probably Paper. And I remember we were kind of all obsessed with Disco 2000. What was that magazine they had that was kind of amazing? Project X back in the day.
And then what's the first fashion moment that you remember? Like the first major fashion moment that you were not a part of when you were a kid, before you were working in fashion.
I just remember seeing billboards of like Linda Evangelista for Kanar. Kanar was a cool brand back then.
Yeah.
It was like covered all over Times Square. And we used to go to Unique and Antique Boutique back in the day, and go to Tower Records and just, always see what people were wearing. And but I think just remembering Linda Evangelista was a big moment for me.
It was Michael Jackson doing the moonwalk, but his outfit to me was so unbelievably amazing. That for me was like the first kind of fashion moment for me. What and also what?
When he did the moonwalk for the first time, people freaked out across America. Like nobody knew what that was or what he was doing.
But for me, that was like, obviously him doing the moonwalk was, that was what it was about. But for me also, it was kind of his outfit to me. That was like his like sequin sweater and his sequin socks and things like, it was more about, not more about, but that was my first first fashion moment. We're like, oh my gosh, someone could be dressing this amazing. Um, and then one more thing too, I would say, as creative people, we are so. I guess you lived in New York, so it's different. But we're really desperate to find things. To find creativity as a really young person. Where were you getting your information from? I was getting mine from MTV, Arsenio Hall magazines. Like, where were you? What was your main source again when you're young? Where were you getting your information from?
I think like just going to all the vintage stores and screaming Mimi,
Yeah.
and I worked at Benetton back in the day, and we'd be like folding, and because of me, combat boots at Benetton were officially banned because I'd wear combat boots with my uh, pants tucked in, and then I'd have like my head shaved on one side, my hair down long like this, and then I'd wear the big up to the knee red combat boots, and then they banned it. We weren't allowed to wear combat boots there anymore.
Something still had them. Um, and then, what did you want to be at that age? Like, what did you want?
Um, I wanted to be an on-air anchor person, and that's what I studied for in college. And I was on air in Buffalo for a while, and I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated all the people. Um, and then I just kind of fell into styling. It's not like I knew what it was or, ever really studied for it.
Um, who did you look up to at that time when you were young? Could be a family member, could be.
Um, Julie Jules, if you remember her, like her style was always amazing. Madonna, Michael Jackson, Cyndi. Um, I think anyone that just dressed differently and like embodied everything that we were told not to be, like the whole English movement, the old Vivienne Westwood, the punk scene, we used to go to CBGBs, the Ramones, I think all of that was so instrumental in like forming who I am, and
Yeah. Like Jean-Charles Casabat was on here 2 nights ago, I think. And
these
back,
are incredible, and I love what he's doing with all the new vegan resources. And I feel like he's one of the first two companies that went vegan that got it right, that it doesn't look easy or cheap, and the styles are very cool as well.
also so passionate about it, which is a big part of it. But he said Bianca Jagger was his main inspiration, and then Keith Richards from, the Rolling Stones. So those are, and that makes sense for what he does. So that's really interesting. You're saying the Ramones, all those people are kind of shaped your style, your style influences. So, and then when did you move to New York City? What year?
Um, Probably 93. And
Why did you move?
I
Why?
lived on the street right close to 6th Avenue in this huge, amazing loft. And it was Peter, who was a struggling architect, Bianca, who was like a 6'2" gorgeous black model, me, and then our kind of landlord worked at the Metropolitan Museum.
Right.
And we have these big, amazing parties, like epic, epic parties. And then one morning, and then our landlord would always like store stuff in our loft. And one time we came home and there was like this huge lion head, like probably 6 feet around, just like this enormous thing. And the police came and confiscated like all of his stuff in the boxes. So he'd been stealing from the Met. And we like had to find a new apartment because it was so crazy.
I mean, all of our first apartments have a story. My story is insane too. What's the first club you went to in New York?
Probably Tunnel.
And how did you feel when you walked in? Was it, was your mind kind of blown, or like what do you remember about that first time at Tunnel?
It was amazing. I think that was one of the first. We had gone to smaller bars and stuff. I was probably 15 or 16, And I had my brother's ID.
York, right?
Um, we would drive into the city and park a couple of blocks away and then change in the car on the way in. And it was just mind blowing. It was amazing just to go out and dance and have fun. And, that was really when people were pushing boundaries in terms of like how they were dressing, who they were dressing for, what they looked like. It was incredible. And then you'd see other kids from school there, and you'd be like, What are you doing here? I totally wouldn't have expected you, to be here."
Yeah, I would say too. The first time I went to a club, I went in Detroit, and I was, I think, 15 as well. Had no business being there, and it changed forever. I remember walking in. I remember the feeling of. I went immediately to the dance floor, which was on the stage. I remember the feeling of the music, and it was smoke and the lights. And I went to the stage and the dance floor and danced for the whole night. And the next day, I went to the mall, and all the cool people, all this like at Le Chateau and all the cool stores were like, "Weren't you at the club last night?" And I was like, "It was my life changed forever." I mean, so.
Oh my God, Le Chateau and Bang Bang and all of the stores. Pat Field's at 8th Street was such a epic store for everyone.
And then, what other clubs were popular during that time?
Um, Red Zone for a minute, Mars, um, Limelight, but I always felt like the Tunnel was better than Limelight. Club USA, where I met you. I don't know. They were all so different, I think. I think the Tunnel always had a special place in my heart because it was, you could be turn and look and you'd be dancing next to like the most random person. Like it wasn't like just gay night or straight night or different themes. It was like everyone just went there to have a good time.
And how was that first year in New York? When you were living with all those people and things. I think that first year in New York is so defining for people and really teaches you like all you ever need to know ever like about New York in that first year. How was your first year there?
I was working at Paramount Hotel, and that's when it first opened. And you had to go, and you had to give a headshot to go work there and get interviewed. And it was crazy. It was like the most crazy fun experience. You'd be sitting there, and it was kind of like a pretty small bar, but the VIP area, they wouldn't let anyone in. They were so exclusive. So you'd be, all of a sudden you turn around and like Robert De Niro would be there, or, then you turn around, Willem Dafoe would be there. And it was just like nonstop, super mega celebrities in a cool way. And they'd always tip really well, definitely. I think that's when I learned how to treat celebrities as normal and not like obsess over them and kind of like be like, if you're like, "Hey, what's up?" as opposed to, "Oh my God, it's this person or that person." I think that kind of changed the dynamic for me of how to relate to them because they don't want to be fawned over all the time.
What did you do there?
Um, Front desk for a minute, and then I was a bartender and a server.
Got it. Great. You're right. That was good training for your future career. That's great. How did you get into styling?
I went on a shoot with one of my friends, and they sent all the clothes from Australia, and I kind of just took over the shoot and put everything together, and then I got hired for a few more shoots after that, and that's kind of how it became. It wasn't like I really planned for it. It was just
Yeah, I feel like when I met you, I didn't even really know like what styling was. I feel like it wasn't even it was a thing, but it wasn't the thing that came later.
I love Rob Harmon's quote: "New Yorkers don't spoon over." No, we definitely don't.
Huh? We'd what?
Rob Harmon just said, "New Yorkers don't spoon over celebrity." Yeah, we definitely don't.
I mean, so speaking of you've had such a successful career. You've worked with Michael Jackson, Jennifer Lopez, Liza Minnelli, Debbie Harry, all the greats. What have been some highlights for you, career highlights?
I think one of my favorites was Ozzy Osbourne, because he, oftentimes we get to go to the concert with them and get backstage, but Ozzy was just like everything you'd expect him to be and more, and just being backstage, seeing him like crazy and then go on stage and take over the whole entire audience. And it was like this shift in him where he was drinking and running around, and then all of a sudden he went on and he like took control of the microphone, and he became Ozzy. That was one of the most amazing times. I think going on tour with Cher and Cyndi Lauper was pretty amazing. And I think one of the best things I always loved about Cher was she would have the children who are affected with the disease from Mask backstage, but she never publicized it. So she would fly them in from all over the state, helicopter or by private plane, and then they would sit and eat with all of us, all of the backstage crew, and she just talked to them normal, and she never like publicized it or wanted anything from it, and just took care of them and really made them feel special. I always felt like that's what you do when you have power and money, like take care of people.
Well, it's also really telling of who she really is, because she didn't want the publicity on it, So, what was it like for Jackson?
It was a thriller.
So stupid.
The first time was really weird. You have all these expectations of what it's going to be, what it's going to do, and he was really cool. We ended up putting him in a Vivienne Westwood suit, and he looked absolutely amazing. And the photographer kept trying to get him to dance, and kept like literally pushing him, dance, Michael, dance, dance, dance. And he's like, I don't want to dance today. And he's like, I'm not going to dance. And he didn't dance. So, but he was like so cool to me, and everyone backstage, that he was just kind of chill, and it was so weird. That was like almost like at the height of his fame.
Yeah.
And he had like a 15 police car escort, and we shot in a studio when you drove at Bathhouse on East 11th, and the police drove him down into underneath the building. And just I remember like him coming up, and like my heart was in the back of my throat, and I'm like, and he came in, and I'm like, hey, what's up? Like nothing, but I was like secretly like,
And then you worked with Liza Minnelli a lot, right?
Yeah. So this is my favorite story. It was her birthday the day before, so I walked into the apartment. Well, the first time I was supposed to work with Liza, I pulled all the clothes, and I was doing props. So I pulled. Sydney remembers this. I pulled all the clothes, I pulled all the props, and it was for InStyle. It was for the Oscar issue. And they canceled the shoot and said that she was sick. And then an hour later, I saw her probably on E! News or something, and she was in court with David Guest. So she, I guess, couldn't get out of the court date and canceled the whole shoot. And so we were stuck with everything. And then they tried to reschedule it twice, and that didn't happen. So then I went to go meet her about some other appearances and stuff she had, and the album cover. And I brought these cupcakes, and she comes in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, Liza? I brought you cupcakes. She sits down, and she's, of course, a black turtleneck on up to here, and a little, like, black newsboy cap. And she takes a puff of her cigarette, and she goes, fags, always trying to make me fat. No offense, honey. And then later on, we're doing the fitting, and then I had to come back and do another fitting, and she has Law and Order on. And the assistant told her assistant that worked at the house, which I don't even know how that woman got through that, but she said, don't interrupt her when she's watching Law and Order, but we had to do the fitting. So I walk in, and she's like, yeah, just put everything up. And then I walked in front of the screen, and she goes, I told you not to walk in front of the screen. And she was like yelling at me, and I guess I it was like right in the middle of one of the best parts. So she's don't F with her Law and Order.
Good. No, don't mess with Liza in Law. And then one of my favorite photos that you ever took, that you ever did ever, was you put B. Arthur in like a leather jacket and a leather cap, kind of like S&M. That to me, and that photo resurfaces. I see it all the time. I know you did it. It was for Time Out?
Yes, it was for Time Out, but even worse than that was the Arthur had just got signed, and I love PETA. I'm not talking bad about PETA. I've worked on PETA ads, but I put her in because she always reminded me of like a dyke, sorry. And I got the leather jacket from Leatherman along with the biker leather cap and the leather neck chain. And we shot her in it, and then PETA called her because she just signed on to be an ambassador of PETA. And then she called me, and she's like, "Hey, Kellan, why did you put me in that jacket? PETA's mad at me."
That's so funny. You're like, but Dorothy Zbornak, hello.
But Andrea, Kristen, and Judith was saying that we are basically like the Golden Girls having a reunion tonight.
Definitely. Which Golden Girl are you? You're Dorothy.
I'm definitely not Dorothy.
Which one are you?
Sophia, maybe? I think I just lost you. What'd you say?
Who am I? Which Golden Girl am I?
Rose.
Fine, I'll take it. That's a scandal.
That is good.
Okay, so when did you start to be successful as a stylist? You've worked so long and so much. When did you start to feel like I'm successful?
It took me so long to get over those initial fears that, you're not good enough or you're this, you're that. I assisted a couple of really big stylists in the beginning and they were awful. And I always said I would never treat anyone how they treated me. I would say I was shooting a movie line cover with Angelina Jolie. And then I had to come back to New York to do something with Matt Damon. And then I had to go back to LA and come back to New York. So I was on the plane almost every other day. And then I flew into a Calvin Klein underwear shoot literally from the airport. And it was like 7 days in a row of like, Time magazine cover, movie line cover, Calvin Klein underwear. And like towards the end, I'm like, holy, I'm so exhausted. But then it was like, I was living everything I wanted to. It's like everything I dreamed, I wanted to be.
Be careful what you ask for, kind of thing,
And I guess it took me a while to realize, I'd always, and I still do, I always have vision boards of like things I want to do and people I want to dress, style, and if you put it up and you believe in it and you work hard, and I've worked very, very hard, it happens, And I think, a bunch of my friends helped me along the way, and I totally appreciate all that. Like, they worked their ass off for me, and
I remember the Angelina Jolie cover because she wore my personal cuff on the cover. I remember. Okay, so what's your first memory of me?
You were doing the VIP at Club USA with Linda, and it was a big party, and like Lisa D and everyone was there, and I just remember I looked at you and I'm like, "You've got great style." And then for some reason, I'm like, I always used to think the people with the best style were always from New York, and then when you and Linda told me that you weren't from New York, and Megan was around too, who I love. I was always kind of shocked because I always thought that innate style was a New Yorker, but
because I was thinking today, like, when did we first meet? And I don't remember meeting you per se. I just remember always knowing you. Like, you've been a part of my New York life the whole time. You just have always been there. Like, I feel like I probably met you, I feel like 6 months after I moved to New York. I don't remember not knowing you.
yeah.
And kind of like our fairy godfather in a way. Oh, you were always working. You were always like, working very hard. And like, I just kind of always remember you being there. Like you always were. I don't remember not knowing you in New York. You mean?
I do have to say the only party that I didn't get into was Vulgar party that you were doing the door for with Boy George. That was the only one.
I remember. I like
That,
telling this. I like telling
that
the story. No, I like telling the truth of the story. You like telling the canon version, which is it was a Bulgari store opening. Naomi Campbell was hosting, and Boy George was spinning on Fifth Avenue and 57th, wherever the store is. And I told you, don't bring a crew of people. And you came with a limousine, and 12 people rolled out, and we couldn't let you in.
well, you were at capacity. Well, you
And
said you
never got over it. To this, it's been literally, I think, 20 years. Get over it. Okay, so for my thousands of legendary talk fans, they may not know that when I was a youngin, I was your assistant, and we have many. We worked on many, many shoots together. First of all, how was I as an assistant?
you were great. Honestly, you were late consistently, but everyone knows that. You were great though. I have a ton of people that weren't great, but you were amazing.
First of
But
all,
you
I
understood. I wouldn't have to tell you, if we were styling Cyndi Lauper, or I think you did J-Lo with me too. I would tell you what to get, and then you'd also bring other things as well that were cool, that you knew that they would like. You would also not only get inside my head, but get inside their head of what you think they would like. You pre a lot, which was great.
Yeah, I remember several shoots being like, "You can go sit down. I got this." I mean, I enjoyed it. I never loved styling. I think I made that clear to everybody. It kind of came easy to me, but it never was something I loved doing. I was doing it really, I guess, for the money. I was doing because I was young and needed a part-time job or whatever. I never really loved it. I liked the interaction with the people and with you and stuff, but I never liked the actual styling part. It's not I want to pursue as a career for myself. I don't think. You mean?
But also, I think I called you for jobs that I thought you would get into and enjoy, and it would be not only good for me to have you assist me on those, but good for you to assist. Like when we did Boy George, it was like a great fit because, well, first of all, you're not like you don't try to take over, but you work with me and we work together, so we don't really like talk over each other, and we kind of have the same feelings of like what we think is cool and what works, and and he loved us. It was like a very good dynamic on set.
Yeah, I remember. You'd always be like, "Tell him that, making me do all the dirty work." I would do it. It'd be fine. So we worked together with Cyndi Lauper. We did LL Cool J together. We did Dennis Rodman together. We did Eve together. Lots of different things. Any other do you have any funny memories?
You remember LL Cool J kept hawking us to wear the wings, and he wanted to wear those big wings at the party. And finally, we decided to let him. It was for the Howard Stern party. I did LL Cool J 2 or 3 times. The time we did him was for we did the book cover, his first book cover, and that night was Howard Stern's big party at Madison Square Garden. And I don't know why we didn't try to go. We had something to do that night, but we had these big angel wings that were like 6-foot wingspan. And
I put the wings on him, I remember.
Yeah, and then remember, he walked up to the party, but we went to the party to get the wings back, because I'm like, the wings were from Izquierdo Studio, and I'm like, if he wears them to the party, they're going to be ruined. And they would have been. It would have been like a pigeon outside of Madison Square Garden.
And then, yeah, I remember kind of like you just started passing on things. Like you'd be out of town, I would just start taking over the jobs, which was fun. It was a fun time for me. So Kellan, you're Irish and you love to have a good time. What's the wildest night? What are one or some of the wildest nights we've had together? Because if it's one thing Kellan likes to do is go out and have fun.
Well, remember, I've worked so much. I think one of most fun nights was Khaleesi's birthday at Lotus, and just everyone was there. It was such a good mood. If Lauren's watching, she lost her camera that night. One of every other night she lost her camera. It was just that was one of the most fun nights I remember. Just everything about that night.
Well, I was thinking about it today, and I was like, you did work very hard. To your credit, you were always working, but you were always going out and like work hard, play hard. You're one of those. But I remember the bartenders' balls in New York in the late '90s of being. When I thought of that, like for they basically were Stephen Lewis and I can't remember what alcohol brand would come together once a year on a Monday and do kind of like a appreciation for all the bartenders and the staffs of all the nightclubs in New York City. So it'd be 1,000 people, and it would be insane. And you'd walk in, they give you a shot at Roseland Ballroom, and Lenny Kravitz performed, and James Brown, all these people, and it was just debauchery at its fullest. And we were like in our early 20s, and it was the late night. It was just insane. It was insane. And
that was that I convinced Megan Camel Cigarettes sponsored it, and there was these two big 6-foot-high camels with the two humps. And I convinced Megan to get on top of the camel, and she stayed up there for like a half an hour, and she was like dancing. That was incredible.
I remember. I mean, there's so many nights of just you getting us into trouble, or like one more drink, one more drink. You and Shin are the kings of one more drink. I'm gonna have one more drink.
And Shin would always be like this. Look, so cute,
so cute, so cute, so cute. And then I remember I had a roast, a birthday roast in New York City, and you roasted me. A lot of you, Khalees, everyone roasted me. Yours was by far the best or the worst, depending on how you look at it. You said in front of my mother that black by injection, in front of my mother. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I asked for it. I said, Kellan, please come roast me. So I asked.
You said, you're totally making me red. You said you need to come and roast you. And I said, do I have full bar? Do I have to think of your mother? And your face, like I'll never forget. I totally took research. I wrote everything down. And I said, oh my God, this is so funny. I said, Damon's not black, but he wants to be black. Damon is black by injection. And Khalees hit me. Your face dropped. I looked at your mom and I'm like,
my mother is sitting right next to me. I'm like,
that was a scandal.
That was a real scandal, that one.
Bring the roast back, because that was so much fun. Khalees was fucking hysterical too that night. She was on fire.
She didn't prepare anything. She didn't want to do it. I kind of nudged her to do it, and she ended up, bringing down the house per usual. So getting back to fashion, and so you Fashion Week was a big part of your career, and you did the blondes, you've done Jason Wu, all these amazing things. What are some fashion week highlights? Oh, you did the Love Ball, the Light Ball. I'm sorry. What are some fashion highlights for you?
I mean, Fashion Week was always so crazy in the beginning. I'd sell 6 or 7 shows of young designers. They would all drive me nuts, but it's part of like paving your way. I really loved working with the blondes. I worked with the blondes for quite a few seasons. The reason why we stopped working together was one of my bigger clients had me all the dates for spring shows I couldn't do because that's when they were always shooting this big campaign that I work on. So I think the best thing about working with David and Philippe was their vision, and they totally knew what they wanted, and they understood, the passion behind it. And we were all there. We'd stay there till, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And same thing with Jason. I worked with Jason, I've been with Jason Wu since he started. And last year, Vogue put up, one of his friends sent in a picture, and we would play, before he had the pull he had with the models, models would show up at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So we would play Monopoly. So last year, Vogue.com printed like, what did you do between your shows? And they had this picture of us playing. And it was like such of the moment because, we had everything set up. We had the shoes ready. We had the outfits ready.
But also, Kellan, you were doing Fashion Week when Fashion Week was Fashion Week. You were doing it when it was real. Now it's, so watered down and kind of, consumer driven. You were doing Fashion Week in its prime, so.
We had, I think, one of the best things during Fashion Week was getting in touch with the models and like really feeling what runway was like. I mean, American runway is never going to be like, you know, French or runways. The Life Ball was amazing. That's probably uh, the closest I've been to styling a show on that level. And I always felt like sometimes the designers in New York were like, they'd send down a brown shirt and a brown pair of pants and be like, "This is fashion," and it was terrible. And going to see some of the shows was awful. They'd send out these dresses and things, and you'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Well, I went to the Chanel fashion show about 5 years ago for the first time in Paris with Janelle Monáe,
Yeah.
and I was like, I've never seen anything like that, and like it all like New York fashion shows in general, they're dead to me. I'm like they don't exist anymore. They're so like small and scaled down and watered down. That was the most lavish, huge thing I've ever seen in my life. It was 1,000 or 1,500 people in attendance. It was just insane to me and amazing. So, and like that's what basically what you're saying is like the New York shows are so scaled down, basically. So.
I mean, the New York shows, some of them are fun. I think, the blondes give that energy in New York that people have. It's like people are excited for the show and they have great people in the show and it's fun. And I think there's not a lot of shows that have that kind of like energy. I think the blondes give you that cool downtown energy that I feel like we've been missing. But then you have someone like, a Jason Wu who gives you an experience, a whole runway experience. And it's two different things because it's very different as designers. But, I kind of feel like I had worked for so many designers that were just, the shows were just not exciting. And it was like, it's so much work to work backstage and put together a show that it came to a point I'm like, I'm not working on a show unless I like the stuff, because it's like, you lose like 2 weeks of your life, like 80 hours putting a show together, and then if you're not behind the clothes, it's what's the point,
I've always said my favorite place, my favorite fashion show is on 125th Street. Just walk down 125th. That's my favorite fashion show ever. Anyway, so okay, so I want to talk about Pluma and the necklace you gave to me and then took back. But let's talk about Pluma. First, explain what it is.
So Pluma started as an idea I had. I kind of felt like it was neatness with jewelry. And I got connected with these great factories that work with everyone from Gucci to all the top Italian brands, Louis Vuitton. And so I started out with this line, and it kind of exploded at first. And it was very overwhelming, to be perfectly honest. I couldn't keep up with a lot of it because I was financing it solely by myself. And everyone wore us, Sharon Stone, Jennifer Lopez, Rihanna. Rihanna wore us to a Balmain party. And I woke up and I had like all these messages from everyone, and it was all over Vogue.
People know it because she wore it with a fishnet shirt and nothing underneath. So it was a very famous photo of her because she's wearing, no bra, no nothing, just fishnet with your necklace, with your choker.
Yeah.
So really famous photo for Rihanna.
So it got a little overwhelming. We had a few very bigger companies that were really negative towards us, and kind of pushed us out of stores that we were getting ready to board, which kind of and now we're kind of trying to figure out what we're doing post-COVID and everything. But the necklace I gave you, I still have. I will lend it to you. Patty Wilson called it in, and it was in W magazine, that same necklace you wore. I called you that day, and I'm like, oh my God, Patty Wilson needs it. And it was out the next month in W.
Yeah, so Kellan gave me a necklace. It hung in my closet, where I put my jewelry, and then within 24 hours, it was gone, and I never saw it again. I mean, yeah. So I had it
You know how many things you came to my apartment and said, "Oh, I'm just gonna borrow this," and it's probably still in your closet, or you sold it on your thing. That
Okay. That has nothing to do with the fact that you gave me that necklace and took it back, biatch. You gave it to, didn't Jennifer Lopez or someone wore it? I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I see how this works. All I know, it's been like 5 years and I still got no necklace, so that's all I know.
I will get your necklace. But speaking of scandal, do you have anything to do with this box?
Do I what?
Did you have anything to do with this box?
No.
Okay, so my birthday was a few weeks ago, and someone sent me a box, and I can't stop laughing about. I've been laughing for days because everyone that knows me knows that I'm not a fan. So they sent me.
What is it?
Ivanka Trump shoes.
Oh, good.
So they sent me these Ivanka Trump shoes in the mail, and
Good.
I don't know who,
The perfect gift.
and I've been crying since
Funny.
I've gotten them. I don't want anyone to tell me who it is because I need to figure it out. But the shoes are horrible, and I've been crying.
First of all,
Chandra, you know you're gonna wear it out in Sydney. I'm sending them to you for your rental closet.
that's the perfect gift for you. Whoever that is, they really do know you well. Kenna, what's the difference between Pluma and styling? What's the main difference, you think?
I'm doing a good Pluma reboot in 2021. I'm very excited about. But it was really great working with resin and metals and having your ideas come to life and like kind of thinking, oh, if I did this, someone great's gonna wear it. And then you knew, like the Rihanna necklace, it's two chains and two pieces of leather, three links and then two pieces of leather. And it kind of happened as an accident how I was playing with everything because I wanted to make belts and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this would be the sickest choker. And I was working with Janina Durazio in LA, who's amazing, who really helped my brand and helped me. And we were both strategic about certain pieces and saying, okay, we're not going to lend this to every single stylist that wants to pull it. And it worked. Like Rihanna was one of the first ones. I think Mel, her stylist, pulled it. And, that was one of the biggest hits we've ever gotten.
Janelle Monáe wore it, remember?
Yeah. Janelle's been supportive. She wore us a few times.
Sweet. Okay, so what are the 5 best parties of all time?
The Lady Gaga concert in Roosevelt Island.
That's my party, right?
Yeah. The 5 best. Oh my God, you're totally stumping me. I went to a crazy party under Brooklyn Bridge back in the day, inside the bridge. That was unbelievable, just because it was like the whole cavern of it inside the bridge. Now that would never happen. The Life Ball in Vienna. Sydney and Charlene had a party at the Hilton Hotel, which was beyond anything. You can't even describe this party to anyone because it's beyond describable.
I've heard a lot about that party. I didn't go. Me and Andrea were both working the door that night. It was freezing cold, and we called each other and like, should we go at 3 in the morning? We didn't go, but I've heard a lot about it.
You should have went because it was crazy. It was amazing. And I had a party at my apartment here for my birthday once, and I hired steel drums, and the police came and they started dancing because they loved the steel drums so much. And they shut the party down, which was insane. And probably the Halloween party.
I remember the Lady Gaga party. So you gave me really good advice. I had 200 bands passing out to my 200 guests, and everybody, all of a sudden, the 200 turned into 400 people. And I just remember kind of looking around, and you go, just get on the boat, get on the boat. We took a boat to the thing. You just get on. So I just turned around and just walked on that boat. That was great advice. I remember that because it was turning insanity.
On your face because everyone brought to. I didn't. That was the first time I didn't because you were like, "Don't do it to me," and I just said to you, "You're like, I'm stressing out." I'm like, "Just get on the boat."
You're right. No, you that was great advice. I remember that. What's your get ready song when you're getting ready? What's your go-to song to get ready to?
Um, Chandra just said the Thriller New York party. We dressed up, not culture appropriation people because I was a zombie. I dressed up as zombie Michael Jackson. Chandra was Ola Ray. And then we had 15, and I got Chandra's outfit down to the T because, of course, I'm a stylist. And we had 15 zombies come with us to.
What loser does that? What losers? You guys are so funny. I remember
Practice dance. We knew the dance. So when we came in, we took over the party. Oh, and the other Heidi Klum party was I went as Billy Idol, and my friend dyed my hair, and I got up on the table and was dancing and spun around and jumped off the table. Now I'd probably break my neck, but back then it was fun.
I remember you're very big on Halloween. It's all coming back to me now. Wait, so what's your go-to song to get ready to?
Still Freedom, I think, and I think Freedom is going to be our song on January 21st, Scandal.
Good.
When this nightmare is finally
When our two new friends join the office. Okay, so Kellan, if you could have a dinner and invite 4 people that were living or dead, who would they be?
James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, and Andy Warhol.
One more. That's 3.
You.
Oh, great. I'd like to meet all of them. It'd be great. And then what inspires you right now in life?
I'm still inspired by the greats. I think, I mentor students, and I have 2 or 3 interns a semester. I love teaching them about like culture and things they might not normally know about, like Grace Jones and Andy Warhol and Old Interview and Andre Leontali and Grace Coddington, who's still relevant but not on everyone's radar, and just all the people that inspired me. I think there's so much culture and things that people miss now because everyone's so immediate, everything's on the phone, and if you're not relevant and have 100,000 followers, and people don't always know who these people are that helped shape everything that we're learning now, like this one behind me.
Yep.
And I always give out projects of like, Bianca Jagger, Grace Jones.
Do your homework.
Yeah.
Tell them to do their homework. I make a lot of young people that I, mentor in quotes, watch Madonna Truth or Dare and Terry Mugler Too Funky. I'm like, these are 2 musts. You must. But what are you grateful for right now in life?
I mean, I think we're going through such a crazy transition, and I think I'm grateful that I started meditating and like really grounding myself and realizing my worth and like appreciating my parents. Just
good.
And appreciating my friends. I think the beginning of this whole thing, I had so much anxiety and frustration, and I just stopped watching the news and kind of got out of my own head, which was really good. But it's support for your friends and support your family.
Yeah. And then how can it is a weird time? What?
One more thing, I think back in the day when I was styling, I kind of felt like I couldn't turn any job now, but now I know the power of no.
Good.
I don't have to do everything. And it's like there'll be more covers. I'll get something else, and maybe this is right for me. And especially now during COVID, it's different ball game too. It's like, am I going to take this job and die?
Yeah. Well, no, good for you. I'm glad to hear that from you. I know that you definitely have worked extremely hard. And then, finally, last question. It's a weird time, with COVID and everything. How can we support you or your company, or what's a way that people can watch and can support you?
Um, Support on Instagram. I think I have some great stuff coming out next 2021. I think the most important thing everyone has to do this Christmas is support local, support your local restaurants. Don't buy on Amazon. Support Etsy, support smaller designers, um, support local designers. There's so many great ones. Maybe I'll send you a list you could post after.
Yep. So,
Support young designers, support young African American designers, support young Asian designers. There's so many things that we as a collective community have found it so easy to buy on Amazon and just click and ship and get it done. But I think, this year it should be about like really supporting those companies that are on the verge. And I'm sure you follow it. I mean, with my company, it's been extremely tough. Anyone in my part of the industry, it's been really, really crazy. The ups and downs. I luckily that I'm working. I'm doing a shoot for New York Times tomorrow. I'm very excited about. But so many people are cutting back. So you have to think of, what can I get for someone that they'll really appreciate it? Whether it's, a gift certificate for a local restaurant or a local bakery or a cookbook from a young chef or these great earrings from this young African-American designer who just launched on Etsy. It's
well, there's a quote that says like, Amazon grossed something like $1 million or something during this time. And, small businesses will basically close for good. So use your brain and go to the small, to support that, so.
most people don't realize too, when you buy from Amazon, say that it's $20, they lose a whole big part of the markup. So if you find something great on Amazon, maybe they have their own website. Maybe it takes an extra day or two to ship to you, but then they get all the money, And there's so many young, great designers right now that need our help, that, you know, could use our support during this holiday season. And I'm going to send you a list next week, and maybe you can.
Listen, for sure. Okay, Cannon, I want to thank you for doing this. This is my 109th episode, my 109th guest. But Cannon, I really want to say, I've known you. We're very close friends. I've known you a really long time. But the reason you've been so successful is because you're a kind person, and you really have nurtured and mentored so many people. You've always been the one working. You're hiring all these 2-3 assistants at all times, and you really have nurtured them, myself included, and really mentored and paved the way for a lot of people. You've worked so hard with integrity and kindness, and that to me is why you've been so successful. And like I said earlier, you're an Irish that likes to party, boy. Listen, you have a fun time. You've been to all the parties, and you have really celebrated other people, yourself, and life. Again, with kindness and integrity, and I'm very happy to celebrate you tonight. So cheers to you, you scandal.
That is a scandal.
Love you.
Love you too. You're amazing. Support.
Thank you for doing this. Talk to you soon. Bye, Brendel.